cotton balls have, or processed to within an inch of their life. They're just good. Hey, Psycho Axeman, good to see you on, sir. And to see you. Basically, there's a little bit of a hard seam between the foam ear that I attached and the latex mask. So I'm using latex and cotton to blend these two together. Because I want this to look like it's always been, like it was made as this one piece. But in molding, if I molded these ears into it, two things would happen. A, the mold would have to be a lot bigger, and big molds equal heavy molds. And B, I would only be able to have these ears without pouring them up, cutting them off, and all that mess. This way, I'm able to change up the ears in many different ways. And this is that custom Khajiit mask that I was doing. Here's the chin, so it's completely movable. I'll throw it on here, well, much later because the ears have to cure up, obviously. A little bit of this raw cotton. It's the most raw kind of cotton there is. It's like right off the plant. There's little plant specks and doodads in it, and that's perfectly fine. Every time you work on something, you want it to look organic, right? I also find for patching and seaming and that kind of stuff, I don't want like a cup of latex, but what has partially dried on the lid of the bucket, this stuff, that is perfect because it's a little thicker, but it's really nice for this kind of thing. I've got to get around there. Doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. And this actually looks like I'm putting a lot on, but that's going to shrink way down as I apply latex to it. Think about a wet dog, looks a lot smaller than a dry dog, that same dog dry. Feel free to comment and ask questions, gang. I'm kind of just in focus mode. I want to get this project done so that I can get it shipped off. And then I have another Demogorgon head to finish. I think I have 3 of those to finish. But then I can start hard and fast on Transworld stuff, which I'm excited about. Meaning I'll have Apocalypse Maskapalooza. It's going to be, hair inside of this ear and stuff too. So I'd actually rather have a little bit of texture in there than nothing. No texture always looks a little weird. And this is going to have paint and hair and so many different ways to blend it in and together. I wanted to show you guys this little technique for, this is also a great way to repair a mask. It's very easy to repair a mask that has had some problems. Maybe it's got a rip in it, or you don't like the nose, so you cut it off. You want to make it a different nose. And I'm leaving an ear hole in up here. You guys can see. Yes, it is Halloween 24/7. It's kind of what I do for a living, so it's necessary. All right, I'm going to add a little more in here. I think there'd be a little muscle that helped those ears twitch. And this cotton is going to take the place of that muscle. The other side looks pretty good with it. This side, I could see hard corners of that foam, which actually, once this latex dries, I will take a stone bit and around the corners of that EVA foam. But that actually does good on building up that little muscle. I'm going to blend out everything that I put on here. Latex does stick really well to itself, so that is a huge bonus when you're doing this kind of work. All right. What I can't do right now is normally I would want to speed this up and I would hit it with a heat gun or a hair dryer, but those ears are EVA foam, and that EVA foam will warp, and I've already heat shaped them. So this ear is a little bit more lynxy than the other. See that point like halfway up? I want to round that sucker off. Just to keep it from being lynxy. Okay. So those ears, they're completely wet. But why don't I put it on? Because I don't really have to mess with the ears to put it on. I'm going to set this side. Here, you guys can kind of see that a little bit better. And you're seeing it in multiple colors. Once I base this mask out, you won't see any of those. It'll all be one color. It won't be, it looks a little patchwork right now. And this is the chin piece. It's made for I sized this for the person's head who ordered the mask. So it's a little tight on me. But this is what allows the chin to move. And I put inside of there some nice padding around the eyes. That is a Masquerade mask liner. Hello, Dave. Hello, Dylan. Yeah, mask latex is it's not really thin. It's probably between milk and buttermilk casting latex. But you guys can see how actually that the jaw moves on this as I speak and stuff. So I'm gonna be a cat monster. I won't, but the person who ordered this will. And there's a little bit of a flap happening right here. That's because I haven't attached the mask to the strap yet. I attached the strap to the mask, but I'm going to do it at another point. And that'll keep these in. And this is a gray, white, black, and gray is the scheme for this mask. Yes, the ears are EVA foam cut out of a sheet. And then I heated them on. I like to be able to change my ears up. So like my werewolf, I do the same way. If the actor has teeth they can put in, then those teeth will show, in when the mouth is open. These guys don't have like giant canine teeth or anything, but hello, a friend called 5. I'm doing great. Thank you, Psycho Axeman. No Rob tonight. It's an off night for Rob. He'll be here tomorrow. I might go live. Yes. So that is Warren Maxwell asking about the custom mask that I make. Let me take this off and then I'll answer that cleanly for you. This has to dry. So I'll set that in front of a fan and help that cure a little bit. I'm happy with it. It fits together well. All right, so when I do custom masks, I'm going to paint tonight actually. When I do custom masks, here's how it works. If you want a custom half mask from me, that I will keep the mold, it's $450. That means I take, some information from you and I work on it. I make the mask, but I then keep the mold. If you want to have the only one ever, then it's $600. That way you don't have to, that way, no one else is going to have your mask. You made it. But yeah. It will be dry enough to paint tonight. One of the good things about this cotton is this cotton actually sucks that latex in and helps it dry pretty fast. Whereas for some reason cotton balls don't do that. I think they were bleached, and that's part of the problem. I'm going to get a fan set up on this. Set up on this. Okay. Here in Texas, we are not in the polar vortex, so I don't really count the fan being on and freezing me out. It's chilly. Oh, it's not that chilly. It's probably 50 today. I was out burning leaves with the wife earlier. Looked like apocalypse now in my yard. And just this fan on this guy will make that go pretty fast. So don't worry, I still have other stuff to do. Wait, what happened? Why is there $10 up there? Well, we used to do MHC, Midwest Haunters Convention, in Columbus, Ohio every year, but now that has moved to Chicago, so that's going to be awesome. I do love me my two-part werewolf, actually. I should be able to paint it tonight. Psycho Axeman, give me $10. You're so nice. Does casting latex rot like latex rubber? Yes. Latex rubber and casting latex are kind of the same thing. Sometimes there's a different formula in it, meaning they put in more chemical solids, but it's all sap from a rubber tree, or an artificial version of that. I like real latex. There's neoprene, other things that you can use, but mostly I prefer latex. I mean, one of the reasons why I love making masks is that you sculpt in clay, which is like dirt, it's mud. You mold it with plaster, and that turns into stone. So it's dirt, rocks, and sap from a tree. You don't get more natural than making latex masks, Up until you get into like you need thinners and naphtha and all that stuff if you want to do weird paint jobs and things, but I use latex house paint mostly to paint my masks. Since we did a little bit of EVA foam work, let's get set up again. Yeah, I saw that. Super chat is when someone who is watching decides to donate money. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah, and okay, so as the person, what's this poster? This is How to Make a Monster, which is an old horror movie that I always hang this up in my shop. How to Make a Monster. Have I seen the movie in a long time? No, no, it's been a really long time. But How to Make a Monster is appropriate for my shop. Anyway, what a YouTube uploader can do, I am an uploader. Um, you can set it up so that the only people who can comment are people who donate money. I'm not into that. I don't necessarily think that's the best way to be. I want to be able to talk to everybody and answer anybody's question or whatever. Um, but yeah, so that's what Super Chat is. And Super Chat is if I turned on Super Chat, only someone who gave money could talk. I have the options of Top Chat, meaning some messages such as potential spam may not be visible. Live Chat, all messages are visible. That's what I keep it on. Super Chat, member and Super Chat messages only. And then none, hide all chat messages, which I don't necessarily understand either. I keep it on live chat. Yeah. Well, I saw that someone did give $10. I didn't know who it was. Um, up until a certain amount is reached, if anybody does give me money, it's actually going to go to buying a Keurig for the shop. When we do Monster Camp, my wife brings the Keurig over from the house, and Rob just wants to have a Rob wants to have a Keurig in here. I'm not a huge coffee drinker, but I'm probably going to start drinking more coffee. Anyway, let's work on some Demigorgon stuff. How's that sound? Because it's Demigorgon time. These are needed, I think, like February 23rd. I have to have the Demigorgon done and shipped away. I'm going to have this Demigorgon done by Sunday. That's my plan. I have most of him ready to go. Guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be adding EVA foam lobes onto this sucker. And then I am going to yeah, no, I control if the money does anything to chat. That's up to me. Um, it doesn't mean that only they can talk because of how I have it set up. It's very nice. I don't ask for it. If someone wants to, they can. But a lot of folks watch me to learn, and they watch me to learn specifically because I tend to do things as cheaply as possible. So I don't necessarily expect all of those people who want to do things as cheaply as possible to be able to, as much as they want, give money away on YouTube. Okay, so I'm using pumpkin teeth in this. And this guy, when he's done, he's going to be so frickin' toothed out, it's not even funny. Let me put this guy up a little bit. This is a great light, by the way. It's an OttLite. It is an OttLite. It's used for, I got mine at Joann's for sewing and sculpting, but it also has a magnification thing so I can look at stuff bigger. But yeah, anyway. Where was I? Thank you, Tom Savanov. I'm working on this. What is this mask made out of? Well, this is a latex half mask that I put onto a gray spandex hood that I then use fabric over top of that in order to marry them together really well. You know what? I don't have a video on doing foam latex. I have a lot on doing latex masks. How many masks do I make in a year? 200? Yeah, between 2 and 400 depending upon the year. I make a lot of masks. I know I've made over 1,000 mask molds, like sculpted and molded. I've over 1,000 masks. I'm not saying mine are the best. I really should be better with the numbers that I do. But I'm also doing mine for a very specific purpose. I'm not making art for art's sake. When I work on a sculpt for a mask, I'm not making a sculpture. I'm making a mask. So it is a mask first and a sculpture second. You know, I tend to have bigger eye holes, and I have to work in holes for breathing and all that. I want actors to live. Hello from Washington Strait. What is the mask? It looks like an anglerfish. It kind of does. I'm not going to start a GoFundMe for Rob's Keurig. This will be a Demigorgon, and you will see that as I go, it'll get more Demigorgon-y. Right now I've got to add in these teeth up here. So I'm going to get little scissors to clean up those holes. I think that what I do is a little too niche, you know, for me to ever hit like the 1 million subscriber mark or anything like that. But if I would get a cameraman, because I hate having dead air where I'm like, I have to go get scissors. So then I leave, I go get scissors, and anyone just getting on would be like, where'd the guy go? There's no one here. People are just watching the mask, stare at them. But anyway, and when Rob is in the shop working, I'm actually paying Rob because he is a helper. So, and I have work to get done. I can't necessarily afford to pay a cameraman at this point in my life. Maybe one day I will be able to. And when I'm able to, I will. See the value in it. I really want to produce a good YouTube show, but I'm not a show producer guy. I'm a monster maker. If that makes any sense to you guys. Who can knows? And what I'm doing right now is there's these little nuggets. I decided when I did this one that I wanted to glue all the teeth in. These teeth are called pumpkin teeth, and they're from Etsy, and a guy named Bob Connor makes them and sells them. And that's what they look like. They're awesome. What's great about them is that they're perfectly tapered. So I can leave them in the sculpture most of the time, and then pull them out. Okay? So it'll come out of a mold. There's nothing that's going to catch this and make it stay in the mold. So, yeah. But I did not do that this time because I was actually short on time the first time I made this mask. And believe it or not, gluing them in was faster than pouring it up with all the teeth. Because if you do that, you get a lot of air bubbles sometimes. It took Rob easily a month to learn how. Hello, England. Yeah, normally in the UK, I'm on very, very late at night / early in the morning. So they don't get to see live videos. I am going to grab myself a small brush because I'm going to see those little holes up in here? I'm actually going to take contact cement, put it in there, and then put it on the base of the teeth and put them in. Use the Home Depot foam for monster gloves, not Great Stuff, because Great Stuff, as soon as the outside cures, the inside stuff will stop curing. It relies on moisture in the air, so it's not good at any kind of a thickness. You really want to make sure that Great Stuff has air to breathe and cure. Okay. These are super cheap little half-inch brushes that I get from Harbor Freight. It's a little long for my purpose now. I'm going to cut it shorter. And I'm actually pointing it just a little bit so I can get it up in here. Yeah, acid brushes. Exactly, Keith. I get mine from Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight. That place is really great. Harbor Freight. I do appreciate. Patrick, start making monsters. Potter's clay is exactly what I use to sculpt. Well, come on by, a friend called Five, and let's camera up. The other ear, it's probably not ready yet. I'm gauging the color by eye. I'm watching it. When it turns a little more yellow, then it's going to be more cured. It's only 7 o'clock, so I have plenty of time. As long as it's paintable by about 8, I think I'll be okay. And now, this mask is a Gunkaroo special. And what I mean by that is this mask is there's gonna be a lot of stuff on this mask. So if I end up getting a little bit of contact cement dripping onto a part of this mask, it's okay. We don't have to worry about that. We don't have to be super neat right now. I just want to get contact cement in all the places I'm supposed to have contact cement. And in some of the places I'm not supposed to have contact cement. I see. Texas, you know what? I might argue that Ohio is too dang cold. So I don't know what your temperature was today. I fell asleep in a hammock in my backyard for a little while today. I was supposed to be watching burn. Okay. Now I have these guys. I should count the number of holes that I have and make sure I put stuff on the right amount of teeth, but I'm not going to do that. So I know I'm going to use all the teeth eventually. And contact cement, you don't want to work with it really while it's wet, aside from applying it. You want to wait till they're dry, and once they're dry, then I will be able to glue the two together. At that point, it's just going to be an instant touch, and boom, shalaka-laka, they're glued. That's what we want. If a little bit of contact cement gets on the toothy part of the tooth, that's okay. I'll just paint it to look like drool later, or wipe it off. Don't stress out. There's a time to stress out and be super neat and tidy and worry about everything. That's like when you're mixing silicone, you know? Your proportions have to be right. You've got to weigh it. It's a process, man, or some urethanes. But this, just make stuff, dude. Relax. All we have to do is get some glue on there. Any extra glue or anything the glue picks up from the table and puts on these teeth, that's just texture. That's okay. I mention that because that is happening. And that's okay. Hopefully by the time I paint this last tooth, the first one will be fairly dry. I did all these teeth already, so I don't have a ton more teeth. From negative 22 to 51. That's a strange winter. Yeah, I was perfectly fine today in a long sleeve t-shirt. Needed no jacket or anything like that. There are times when you guys are watching the videos and you're literally watching paint dry. That'll probably happen tonight. You're watching glue dry, and I think I have enough teeth ready to go. My first one, it's not quite dry yet. So let's go check the ears. Oh, my kissing. You don't know what you've been missing. Oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. The ears are drying. That's what I can tell you. Remember I said I could not heat gun that because of the EVA foam. This one ain't got no EVA foam yet. One of the things I like about mask making is how many different things I get to do. And doing a fun composite mask like this, which has all these different moving parts, is pretty neat. So, I stick that in there, and that's glued. So, the glue dried up and became sticky. There we go. And I'm just going in order. When I painted all these teeth, I set them down. I started here, I set them down, then I did this row, then I did this row, and the last ones I did are up there. The ones that are closest to me, well, they're the driest. Have a plan. There are times when I look like I don't have a plan. And it's possible that those times I don't have a plan. But I wished I did. So, when you're doing this kind of stuff, see, it's just so nice how they just go in there and they're ready to go. This guy has a lot of glue on it, so he needs more drying time. Yes, it's hot. Enough parts of this are dry where it'll stick no problem. And see, those socket in there pretty darn well. And that one wasn't cut all the way through, so I just cut the stem off, and Worked fine. Don't freak out. Just go with the flow. We're making monsters. So there's nothing here that should really upset you. You know, something bad happens, half the time it's a happy accident. This guy is very toothy. Some of those little boogers that I didn't get to cut. Ah, well. Perfect. And I have that one tooth, that little booger that I said I didn't get to cut. Well, now it's stuck. I just had to push it. Contact cement wants some contact. It wants some roughness. When you put them together, you know, squeeze them. Give them a little squeeze. And that aggressive pushing really makes them stick well. Looks like I buttered up more teeth than I needed. Story of my life. But now I'm going to just go ahead and butter up the sides of this guy with a bigger brush. There's always the bigger brush. It's a 1-inch chip brush. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo. It's a 1-inch chip brush. Of course, to the tune of the final countdown. This is contact cement. It is Weldwood contact cement, exactly. One of my favorite adhesives. Okay. Nice. Streaming me, working on masks while you're painting masks. Let me see here. If you were trying to make a Cyclops mask, any thought on how to be able to see without making huge holes or that noticeable? Yes. You want a lot of texture, just fine lines and things. If you look at the Sculpts folder on my Facebook page, Alan Hops on Facebook, I have a folder called Sculpts. And there's probably 300 or 400 pictures of different sculptures. And I have a couple Cyclops masks in there that I made. And I just did some wrinkles around the eye and under the eye and stuff, and that is what I use to hide the actor's vision. So it is just me this evening, so I might not be as on top of comments as I would be when someone was here helping me. So please keep that in mind. I'm not ignoring you. I don't hate you. I just have a lot going on, man. So I'm going to put these wing petal things on for the Demogorgon, and along with that, I'll have to do some buttresses behind them in order to give them a little bit of support. You guys, and then I ignored you. There's a curve to the side of the head, so I want these Demogorgon petals to kind of match that curve. Boom, shalaka. That guy's pretty good. It's like I had a pattern or something. I have a pattern. I don't make a lot of these, and I don't like making licensed characters, but I had to make these for Universal last year for one of their mazes at their show. And when I did that, I have this mold, you see. So I'm only doing these actually as giveaways. Like I'm giving these to Bob Connor, and I'm giving them to Don't Be a Monster, they have an auction, and the Haunted Attraction Association has an auction, and I'll be giving it to them also, so that I'll be giving one to the Haunted Attraction Association, so that they are able to auction it off and make a little money. When you are a vendor at Transworld, you get asked to donate to everything. Hey, can you please give us this for this auction? Give us this for this auction. I give to Don't Be a Monster because my wife makes me, and I give to the Haunted Attraction Association because I hope that one day that'll be a good thing. Okay, cool. Hey, Steve, good to see you on, sir. Steve, if you get a chance, plug your book, plug your Transworld class, because what you do is awesome. And it's a great compliment to what I do on my channel. Sorry if I was buffering. Golf ball sized, what? I did sculpt a golf ball sized human head for my Headhunter Nutcracker. Okay, very cool, Keith. There we go. So the auctions are all both at Transworld. The Don't Be a Monster organization, they have an auction at Transworld, and so does the Haunted Attraction Association. They have an auction where vendors have donated things and then they auction them off. This guy could use some blues. Okay. I hate to do this to you, but I have to tinkle, so I'll be right back. This is where normally I would have someone tell you a story, and I would lie and say I have something to do, but I'm not going to lie. I have to be. That's what I have to do. I'm human. Ta-da! I'm finished. Okay. So, while all of that contact cement is drying, let's go over here. Yes, I will be in World. Steve has a book, Hall Staff's Animatronic Workshop. Okay, hang on. I'm going to super dry these ears by adding a hair dryer to the fan. Twice the cure time. Cats and dogs living together Mass hysteria. Wonderful. A little bit loud, I'm sorry. But I want to get those ears dry so I can paint. And I will probably get him to a point to where he's all wet and I have to kind of wait. And then I'm going to go eat dinner and then I'll come back and go live again. That's why I love contact cement. It's on. It's on. Now these have some flop to them, so I will end up doing a buttress in the back like I talked about. What's important for this is that it has a crap ton of pumpkin teeth on it, because this is the one that's going to Bob Connor at pumpkinteeth.com. Now, let me grab some EVA foam and cut some buttresses. So yeah. That's too loud. I don't like it. Turns out when you put it on low, it is much quieter than when you put it on high. And a buttress is just a little piece of foam that I'm cutting to fit in right here, and it's going to glue down to the head form and allow this mask to have more stability than it would without it. It's amazing how much reinforcement just one of these little guys will do. And you would think they would all just be nice 90-degree angles, but no, because it meets the mask in different places. They're different. And this guy will also get the cotton and latex treatment of making all of these a lot more seamless and just, look nicer. It'll look nicer. Somebody made it look nice. That's important. I need to get this charging. Have a low battery warning. If I were not live, I would be listening to an audiobook. And I'm not listening to an audiobook because you guys don't want to hear my audiobook, and if I'm talking to you, I can't hear my book. Dark, what I do is I base the whole thing after I patch it in one color. And if it doesn't look right in one coat, I do 2 coats. Sometimes it will take 2 or 3 coats before your base is even, and then you can have a nice even painting point. Not flying buttresses, just buttresses. Okay. Almost everybody pees. That tread pattern, it's going to go away. I don't mind it being in there, but it is going to go away by the time I get this whole sucker finished out the way that I want. The way that I want. Woo, woo, woo. Guys, that never should have happened, but it did. So there you go. One thing that I'm doing is as I cut each piece, each of these are custom cut for each petal. Therefore, I am putting the one that I just glue and paint and get ready, I'm putting it right next to it. So this one rests on top, the other one rests on the neck by it, so I don't get confused as to which one did this go on. I don't want that. These guys seem massive. Okay. Okay, so that piece is there. And then this guy will be all supported, and he'll be much firmer. I know what I mean. So, this morning, I did yoga for the first time in my life with my wife. I need to get a little more flexible and, of course, drop some weight, be healthier. So I did yoga this morning. Not a terrible way to work out. No stress, joints. That's nice. So we'll see how that goes for me. It's amazing how much that one buttress actually supports the mast. What was really floppy before is only kind of floppy now. Thank you. I appreciate your wish of luck. Yes, line cook, that works perfectly for the Home Depot foam. Just pour it in there and let it go, and then just watch it. So. You can lose detail with multiple heavy base coats. You can. But having that clean tone underneath, I base everything in black. And I haven't noticed a significant loss of detail because of extra base coating. I haven't noticed it. But it's possible. You know, sometimes you see it down in your lines and stuff, in your sculpted lines. And then I'll take my airbrush with nothing in it and just air and blow out that line, and that works fine. Okay. There we go. Had to adjust the angle of my hair dryer. My hair dryer. Yeah, well, not only to account for it being a mask as opposed to a prosthetic, but you also have to consider that if it's going to be, used, is it going to be used in a haunted house? How and where is it going to be used? Because haunted houses have low light. So lots of people paint for bright lights. They paint it to look good in their shop. And then when that paint job hits a haunted house with dim lighting, it turns to mud. So you have to make sure that what you're doing, works. Okay, so that is actually subverted. These are a little longer. I know what Bob Connor is going to do with this. What he is going to do with it is he is actually going to set it on a table to help him sell pumpkin teeth. So that is the expectation of this use that I have. It has to look good to sit on a table. And when I'm doing one of these for an actor, I actually make these petals a little shorter so that they don't catch them on things and that kind of stuff. I'm giving the inside of this a coating of contact cement. on all of them. Remember how floppy they were before, and they're not as floppy now because of the power of the buttress. And you can do that when you're sculpting too, just like with your clay. If you have like a werewolf ear or a goblin ear or something, the look of the back of the ear is really not important, especially to me in a haunted house setting, because you know if your actors are running away from the guests, they're not doing it right. And it's nice to be able to, you know, support the ears with little buttresses of clay on the back side. The mold catches them. There's a lot of tricks to mask making that you can use. Voila! Yeah, so this thing looks a little ridiculous. I didn't design it, I'm just saying. Let's get some more cotton batting. Just like I would do with latex, do the same exact thing but with contact cement. This is raw cotton batting. Just like I patched in the ear at the beginning of the video, I'm doing the same thing. But I'm doing it with cotton batting and contact cement. Contact cement is just not quite as flexible, but it does the same thing. I'm still juicing, putting juice onto it, making it look organic. What's nice about the contact cement is that, just like with the latex, when it dries a little bit, I can go back in with my finger. If I push something down, it'll stay a little bit until I powder it. So it has some sculptural qualities, which are useful. And I am just doing these organic inner mouth parts to make these marry in, look better, look more natural, look more organic. I'm not overly concerned. I can't do this wrong. If I don't like it, I'm just gonna take it off. You know, that's my option, isn't it? Could I use fiberglass cloth to strengthen the ear connection? Absolutely I could, without doubt. Yep, you build up ears the same way. Thank you, Dark Nook. I'm glad you think it looks cool. Yeah, I'm more of a dry brush guy, Dark Nook. That's where I'm at as far as painting. Now, I do an airbrush shading afterwards, but I don't paint mine for movies. You know, I paint them for the haunted houses that I want them to be used in. But I know my audience, you know. I'm a haunted house guy. And you might make collector's masks, which I do not. And I'm using these little pieces of cotton to suggest or imply structure. And I might go back and forth and sometimes use cotton and sometimes use contact cement and sometimes use latex. On top of this, I might do some latex. Can you imagine how big the mold would have been though if I had done these on it? And this is something that I'm confident I could get done in one night. So time-wise, it's not that big of a deal. I can also spray this down with contact cement in the airbrush, And I have alcohol-based paint on ink actually on my table here, and that is getting picked up a little bit in the contact cement, so it is getting some red tones. I don't mind that. Now this guy looks like, these are kind of growing out of his head. If you can see it, all the same color. Look at it in all the same color. Don't look at it the way it is now. We're going to pretend that these are all, this is all one substance. It's all one thing. And I am helping people pretend. Isn't that our job? That it's all one thing by blending this together. Just helping you pretend, that's all. Sounded a little bit Mr. Rogers right there. I apologize. Come on, Mr. Rogers, is this? Normally I'm a little more Bob Ross, not Rogers. I can't tell you how many people who come up to me at the show and say, I love watching your videos, they put me right to sleep. Thanks, maybe, a little bit? Apparently I have a calming voice. So this is, by the time I'm done with this is going to have caulking on it. It's going to have, I might even put some saran wrap on here. You never know. This is going to be a real mixed media piece, which I enjoy. Okay, so this side, well, you guys can see how it's going right there. I'm going to keep going. Happy little monsters, that's right. Oh, sponge texture is great, especially like sea sponges, natural sponges. I can put latex right over top of the contact cement. That's no problem at all. When Distortions, Ed Edmonds is doing latex seaming, going back to Halstaff's comment on using fiberglass cloth. He actually uses drywall joint tape, the grid tape. That's what he puts on the seams and patches of his big pieces for Distortions, because that it just adds so much grip and texture. And I'm happy with this. I think this is going and looking well, so I'm gonna carry on with it. See, that looks, now it's like it's growing out of it. I'll do a little more of that. Anywhere that's thick, okay, I'm making like a worm. It's too thick right there. There's a lump, so I'm pulling it. Once I pull it, then I roll it again, and that area thins out. Hey guys, I just heard something weird. I'm gonna go look outside my door. Okay, things are fine. No idea what it was, but it's not there now. It will have the whole hardware store on it. I didn't know what it was, so I just went out and checked. It sounded a bit like a motorcycle, and it may have been a motorcycle. And motorcycles don't alarm me by any means, but I don't have any on my street. And if you're visiting me, I wanted to say hey in a friendly fashion. So a little bit of pulling. And then when I go back, pull it again, it's much thinner. This is going to make the edge of that have a containment. You know what? When I lived in Orlando, I had I like sword fighting is one of my hobbies. I had a plaque right by my front door, and it had a sword on it and a sign, and it said, "Take this, I have one too." Because to me, the most fun sword fight you can have is with someone you don't like, and who is trying to break into your place. And I just thought, boy, if someone broke in and picked up that sword, it would be on like Donkey Kong, and that would be a great time. Everybody who was hoping I said it's on like Donkey Kong, you now have heard me say it. I don't think that was many of you. See that? I like that nice detail lit on that sucker. I will probably go over this with contact cement, with latex. I've already done contact cement. That's what's holding it on. Now that it's held on, I'm going to go a little more sculptural. I don't need to make one rope to go all the way around the whole thing. I can do it in little pieces. That's fine. Anybody know what TV show theme song that was? I expect the answer will be no, but that's okay. Nice. See ya, house staff. Go have dinner. I'm going to have dinner soon. You can get a lot of detail from the EVA phone. No, it was the X-Men cartoon. It was the X-Men cartoon. But I can see to tell the truth in that. I'll tell you what, Warren was at Monster Camp. Warren is Third Degree of Terror on there. I'm sorry if you wanted some anonymity, because I just completely outed you with your real name. Sorry, man. But Warren came to Monster Camp that I had here 2 weeks ago, 2 weekends ago, something like that. And Monster Camp is just so fun. I really, really enjoy it. I actually miss it. I wish I was having another Monster Camp this weekend. Because then there's 6 people in the shop. And one of the reasons why I go live is I'm hanging out with folks, you know. It might be your first time on. You might be on every week with me. But it's cool, in my mind, to hang out with folks while I'm working. You guys were saying earlier you like music. I like hanging out with folks and talking. And we can do that through live. Or we could also, I could have Monster Camp. And Monster Camp is where 7 or 8 folks will come and we will make latex half masks. Friday they get in and they start sculpting, and they finish their sculptures noon on Saturday, and then we mold, and then right after we mold on Saturday, we have to demold and clean them out, and it's such a good time, and everybody, you know, makes something cool, and that's what's awesome. What are you doing, Alan? I'm just making cotton worms. That's all I'm doing. This is my life now. Cotton worms. I have this much of that ear to do, and then that ear to do. And I'm going to call them ears. They're not ears. They're petals of the face that open up. They're face petals, but they look like ears, kind of, in a way, in a fashion. Well, anyway, on Sunday of Monster Camp, that's my favorite day because everybody, you know, we pull it out of the mold and they're all happy to see their sculpture in this new form in a latex mask. And then we get to paint it and hair it and all that, and that's where the magic happens. That's like 0 hour too, because you know you're getting to the end. But it's a blast. I will definitely be doing more of those. It is hard to buy a fan in the wintertime. You ain't lying. They pack those suckers up. You gotta find them. Find it. Find the loophole. Okay. So now I'm not even going to let this contact cement dry much more. I'm going to actually go ahead and just start painting latex over this sucker. So I got to grab some latex. I had to adjust my cat. Sorry. You ever put a thing down and you forget where you put the thing down? You go find the thing, it's further away than you thought it was going to be. Throwing my thing down, yo. Now today, my wife smoked a pork shoulder. So that is my dinner that I'm looking forward to. What I'm doing is I'm very carefully brushing this down and out. I'm brushing it down so it sticks against the ear, the flat well, and then I can brush across the top of it. I'm not crushing it. I'm not really trying to change its shape per se, but I have to get enough fluid on there to where my brush will glide over the top of it. So now this mask has an organic texture. What can happen here is I have contact cement underneath the latex, okay? As contact cement cures, dries, it actually off-gasses a little bit. So it could make some bubbles happen in the latex. I'm pretty sure all those bubbles are going to get caught up in the cotton. But if they don't, then that's okay, because this is a really organic texture. And obviously I want this really busy. I want to kind of catch people's eye when they're viewing it. It's meant to have alien textures. So I'm completely okay with any bubbling that may occur. And that's why when I put these on, I purposefully put them on with this diamond pattern on the inside. I think that's going to be nice as far as texture in there. That's a base texture, you know. It's not the whole texture, but it's a base texture. I go brush as much as I can. I normally end up using my fingers. The other two of these I don't need to have ready to go until Transworld, which is in March. A trade show that I go to where you make stuff to sell to punk houses. Catch up on comments. There is a cool Dragon toilet paper holder. Smell of latex makes you gag. Well, it is rather strong in ammonia. You might want to work with silicone. The price of silicone makes me gag. They won't stay treaded. I'm not gonna I'm going to go over that with so many different things that you won't even notice that texture by the time I'm done. My wife smokes it, and I bet it did go 15 hours. She put it in yesterday, and she took it out about 3 this afternoon. Keith, thank you so much. Very cool of you. I appreciate that, sir. Okay, there we go. We caught up. All right, and I have this guy mostly done-ish. One of the things about latex buildup is that a lot of people go into it with too dry of a brush. If your brush is too dry, then the cotton is going to stick to it, and you're going to drag it around as opposed to put latex over it. Some people I have seen, well, they make a paste with cotton and latex, and I've done that. You can do that, but that is probably the heaviest way to do it. There's a lot of weight there. So what I normally do is I put down some cotton, a little bit of latex to glue it down, and then I go back and I put a little more latex on top, just like this, keeping my brush pretty wet so that I can just run across the top of the cotton and I'm not dragging it all over the place. As soon as you get dry, you end up moving around your cotton. And you kind of put it where you want it in the first place. So why do you want to move it around? I know I want to thin this edge out a little bit, and by thinning it out, I'm increasing the surface area by which it is attached to this petal. And increasing that surface area means it's going to stick down a little better. Especially once this liquid I'm painting on turns into a solid. Science! Okay. Perfecto. So, my wife watches a lot of cooking shows, and it annoys me, I should say, used to annoy me, when my kitten Jonesy is attempting to come in to the room. Can you see him moving through the dog door? Jonesy! Kitty, 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 kitty. Oh, he's checking it out. Anyway, it annoyed me when cooks would say, oh, that's beautiful, that's perfect. And I'm like, man, you're really complimenting your own work like crazy. And then I realized I do it too. And I don't think that they're saying that what they do is awesome. You know, I don't think I'm, you know, the world's greatest at this. I'm okay. But I'm just always thrilled, and I always think it's cool when something turns out. You know, we're taking cotton, a plant, we're taking latex, a plant, and we're making a monster with it. That's humbling. That's awesome to me. I love my craft. So when I say awesome, perfect, beautiful, I think the process is beautiful. I'm not saying that work is beautiful. Sometimes I say my work is beautiful. I'm happy with how it turned out. I worked hard on it. I don't ever mean to do it in a conceited way. I think it would be equally weird if I said, oh, that's rubbish. But I do say that sometimes, and then I fix it. Again, if I keep that brush wet, then the cotton isn't going to fight me by wanting to stick to the brush. Probably that's the number one mistake I see people make, with cotton and latex buildup. I think this buttress down here is working its little butt off, and I might have to do a second buttress on that side. And that's okay. I'm going to build up around those buttresses in the back, and they'll look like tendons. It'll look like a tendon that's holding that sucker on, which is what a tendon would kind of do. Think about the tendon at the back of your heel. Mechanically, that would be a buttress, you know. All right, so what I have now, I have 3 out of 4 of these guys buttered up, I shall say. My ears over there, I know as soon as I get back from eating, they're going to be ready to paint up. Because they're probably dry enough to base coat right now. Then this will ship on Monday. That custom Khajiit mask will ship on Monday. What is it? It's 8 o'clock right now. I'll be done eating. I'll be back over here by 8:45, 9 o'clock. And then probably work till 11, 11:30 on the cat mask, getting it based. While I'm basing it, I'll figure out a hair plan for it. And before I go, what I will do, I'll come in here and I'll show you guys close up the texture that this looks like. But this does look a little bit ruby, it looks nice, I think. All right, look at some texture. Doesn't matter to me at all that there's a diamond tread texture in there, because I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not necessarily going to hide it. That's a good base to start with. More texturing. This is by far my floppiest flap. What a sentence. Yeah. Yes, go eat stuff is exactly what I'm about to be doing. And don't look at the ceiling. Look at me. There we go. Yeah, this is gonna kind of